know the Lafayette, Colorado flooding. Forrest Smith with Mesa Fire, he's done this stuff. He's with us right now. This was dramatic. I mean, but you see stuff like this in the Valley. It's happened.
Yeah, we've seen this in the Valley. Maybe not to this extent, but historically around monsoon season time, we see small versions of this that certainly can lead to critical situations.
The dinghy's tied off. They're climbing on the car. Are they hearing this guy's voice at this point, probably?
They most likely are. The first thing that they're doing is they're making contact with this driver, letting the driver know, hey, we're here. We're going to help you. Everything's going to be okay. And then at that point, they're reassuring and letting him know exactly what they plan on doing.
Okay. Now, Forrest, one of the things that caught my eye, there was a lot of time spent putting a vest on this guy. It seemed like time was lost because eventually the car tips over. Why spend so much time on that? Why not pop the door open and get him out of there?
I tell you, one of the things they're looking at is what can we do, first of all, to make sure we assure that patient or that person's safety. So what we want to do is put a safety vest on him. That way, if things go bad and he actually starts to get out of the car and go downstream, he's now safe with the flotation device. Okay. What you see on screen is not really the whole picture. There are people downstream waiting to help in case he does float downstream.
Okay, let's go to the conclusion of this. Car's upside down, water's rushing through. You figure this guy is drowning right now, but he's got an air pocket.
Yeah, exactly. We're dealing with an air pocket there. Again, extremely volatile. What they're doing is talking to him. At this point, too, what we do is we have paramedics, firefighter paramedics. They're on scene. As you see, they're getting him out. There. The idea really is to begin treatment at that point. We don't know what type of injuries he has. So with these resources we have available, our firefighter paramedics on scene are then able to render the supporting needs. We have to look out for hypothermia or any other traumatic injury as a result of the accident.
Forrest Smith, Mesa Fire Department, we are so glad.
This one, 3 cars partially submerged, 3 people trapped. A rescue crew made it to this man in time to break out the window and hand him a life jacket, but then, just as he was about to get out, floodwaters flipped that car onto its roof. After a few agonizing seconds, they pulled that man free. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay.
I'm sure that for them, you know, they were just getting in there, doing their thing, but the reality is they were very much in harm's way.
Captain Dean Morales with the Mesa Fire Department has participated in water rescues like this one before and watched what unfolded in Colorado.
The flow of the water changes all the time. The speed of the water changes. So we want to make sure that we develop a game plan that's going to keep us safe and is going to be a quick response and be effective.
A big problem for
And the most dramatic rescue of the day was this. Truly a life or death situation where every second counts. For an inside perspective on what the Swiftwater rescue team went through, we asked Mike Guardado, a 10-year veteran with the technical rescue team from the Mesa Fire Department, to walk us through these tense moments.
So explain what's happening here, what the rescue teams are doing.
Well, right now, we have a patient that's in this vehicle right now. Can't even see him, is totally underwater. But what they're doing is a rescue that is dynamic. They have rushing water going underneath that vehicle, the possibility of those other vehicles ahead of it coming downstream. They got a lot on their hands right now.
How dangerous is this, though? I mean, that water could cause that car to flip over, and those guys are on top of that car.
Right. You see how dynamic this is. There's a lot going on in this picture. But these techs right now, they're trying to do it as safely as they can. I'm sure they have as much training as we have here in the Valley, and they're anchoring this car because they don't want this car to go anywhere.
Is it normal to have just 2 people involved in the water during this rescue?
Well, again, because this is such a dangerous rescue here, we want to limit the amount of people that are actually involved with the rescue, because these guys are putting their lives on the line. Things can change rapidly, and now they're going to need to be rescued. You know, this guy's probably faced with hypothermia, so there'll be paramedics, you know, on standby to take care of him after they get him out of the car.
Now they've got the car, they're hoisting the car out of the water. There is still somebody in there. Every second counts here.
Every second counts. And as we can see that they're pulling this car up, they're doing everything they can to get to this patient here, really not knowing if this patient is still alive, but they're doing all they can. They have it anchored here, and now what we want to do is get protection on that victim as soon as we can, so they're throwing in helmets and life preservers, just in case they all get washed downriver, and they still have a chance by having all that protective equipment on.
Okay, and at this point, that's when the car actually collapses down more into the water, which makes it even more dangerous.
Even more dangerous. In fact, we see these 2 rescuers here, which are actually on the downside of this car. And what usually happens is when the water comes rushing by, it creates an eddy, so there's kind of slower moving current right in here, and that's where they like to work. So, you know, they're doing this operation in a safest manner that they can.
And that man is truly lucky to be alive. Mike says if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, and we know it is extreme, but you actually want to stay with your car, and if you can, try to get on top of it while you wait for help. For the latest weather conditions in the areas hit hardest in Colorado.